Welcome to Innovations and Breakthroughs with your host, Rich Goldstein, talking about the evolutionary, the revolutionary, the inspiration and the perspiration, and those aha moments that change everything. And now, here's your host, Rich Goldstein.
Rich Goldstein here, host of the Innovations and Breakthroughs podcast, where I feature top leaders and the path they took to create change. Past guests include Joe Polish, Roland Frazier, and Kevin King. This episode is brought to you by my company, Goldstein Patent Law, where we help you to protect your ideas and products. We've advised and obtained patents for thousands of companies over the past 28 years. So if you're a company that has software, a product, or a design you want protected, go to goldsteinpatentlaw.com, where there are amazing free resources for learning about the patent process. And you could email my team at welcome@goldsteinpc.com to explore if it's a match to work together. You could also check out the book I wrote for the American Bar Association that explains in plain English how patents work. It's called the ABA Consumer Guide to Obtaining a Patent. I have with me here today Josh Hadley. Josh is the founder and CEO of an 8-figure e-commerce business. And after he received an MBA from the University of Utah, he began his career in leadership development at American Airlines. While he was employed at American Airlines, he started a custom wedding invitation business with his wife that they worked on together in the evenings. But since then, their business has pivoted into a stationary empire with over 1,300 products. Josh is committed to keeping manufacturing jobs within the U.S., and he proudly says that all 1,300 plus products are made in the USA. Josh loves working together with his wife in their business as they raise their 3 children. So it's my pleasure to welcome here today my friend Josh Hadley. Welcome, Josh.
Thanks for the introduction, Rich. Great to be here.
Absolutely. So, let's talk a little bit about how you started out. So you started in the leadership development program at American Airlines. So really, what were you doing over there?
Yeah, so I finished my MBA at the University of Utah and got my first full-time job offer there with American Airlines. I actually started in their ancillary revenue department at American Airlines. And that's where it's probably where most people hate the airlines. It's all about the ancillary fees, right? Mm-hmm. So how much can we charge for the seats, for priority boarding, check-in, all of that stuff. But anyways, I stayed there in that role for about 18 months. And then I rotated into a sales role where I was negotiating contracts with some of their corporate travelers, Mary Kay and Chili's, some of their bigger corporate clients there. But on the side, we built up our own business on the side because that was always my passion. Mm-hmm. But I, enjoyed the time that I did have at American Airlines because it gave me a great foundation of, how big businesses work and how they make some of the difficult decisions that they do make.
Yeah, I mean, what are some things you think you learned over there that really have helped you in your present business?
Yeah, I think the level of professionalism. I remember when I would be putting together presentations. Just coming out of school, I could quickly slap something together and get the minimum viable product done. And as an entrepreneur, I'm always quick to kind of get the minimum viable product out the door and maybe start getting sales here or there, right? But in the corporate world, that wasn't necessarily the case. It was like, hey, let's put together this presentation. What's our strategy for this new ancillary product, right? And if we're going to go, present this to a vice president, right? This isn't just something that we're going to, pull out of the air real quick. We need to, it was multiple rounds of working on like a presentation deck. And to me, as an entrepreneur, it just felt like we were moving so slow. But in hindsight, I look at that and I really value the time, like the thoroughness, the thought process that went into those. Because at the end of the day, we put together like very polished, ancillary products that, hundreds of thousands of customers end up touching over the course of weeks of flying and things like that. So that's it. Learning how to slow down a little bit as an entrepreneur was definitely something I learned there.
Cool. So there's like a certain level of rigor that went into kind of developing and pitching and launching a product that Yeah, I mean, on the one hand, like everybody shoots for a minimum viable product, right?
Yeah.
But like being able to do the other end of it, which is having a rigorous process for design, kind of allows you to kind of find the right spot in the middle, I suppose. It's like
Yeah.
you can launch lots of products quickly, but you also could launch something deliberately and slowly.
Yeah, 100%. And it's interesting as you kind of annotated all of that for me. That's really kind of how our business has actually evolved as well because of some of those learnings that I took from American Airlines. When we first started our business, just my wife and I, it was always more kind of like, what's the minimal viable product we can get out the door, right? And just get something published on Amazon. Let's get some feedback and then iterate from there. Whereas now, again, we've been selling on Amazon now for 5 years. We have an extremely thorough process, and I have team members now that are actually following these processes that we've implemented. But there's a lot of due diligence that goes into these products compared to when we first started. I saw an idea on Amazon. I was like, hey, we should do that. My wife would start working on it, designing it, and then the next day we'd throw it out into the market. It's a much different experience. And so, yes, I think we've definitely found a happy medium there that actually has been providing us tremendous results.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, and it seems like it's probably also been important for scaling, right? Because like you could start out just, putting a bunch of products up on Amazon, but as your business gets bigger, you need to have some systems and so just tell me about the types of systems that you have been creating that have allowed you to grow.
Yeah. Yeah. It definitely has been the systems and processes that we've built into our business that have allowed us to scale. And my wife and I have kind of been implementing these systems in the business with the whole end goal of being able to step away from the business, right? I don't feel like we own a business until we can actually like take a step back, not be working inside the business and actually watch it grow. If my wife and I could be able to go on a 3-month excursion around the world, right, and allow the team to operate the business, not even asking us any questions, and we come back in those 3 months and find that the business has grown during those 3 months, that is when I would say we own a successful business. So that's the end goal in mind that we've been working towards. So some of those processes that we've put in place, and the first one that we ever put in place was identifying new products. New product development is the lifeblood of our company, and that's why we've amassed 1,300 products that my wife and I have literally designed together from scratch. Nobody else. And so that process has evolved over the years, but it was initially, that was all me doing all of that work. And that's when I would be spending hours upon hours scrolling through Amazon day in and day out, just looking for new product ideas. What did I think, that served the market best? And then as I started to systematize things, right, I had to slow down, go back to those things that I learned at American Airlines and put in, hey, this gut feel of, hey, that looks like a good idea and it feels right, so let's do it. That doesn't work, right? You can't teach somebody, hey, just if it feels right, then do it. And so we had to start implementing rules, right? So mathematical, solutions to say, hey, if, the number of reviews are below this threshold, or, the average bestseller rank in this category is X, then we can do Y. And I had to painstakingly, because as an entrepreneur, that is not where I get a lot of my energy, but it was essential. So it took about 3 months of just like painstakingly going through and like jotting down what those mathematical equations would be, hired a team member and worked hand in hand with them for a solid year to where I felt like, and the great thing about this team member I hired, they're the complete opposite of myself. They're very data oriented. They're Excel wizards. And so they were able to take my ideas and I was able to convey like, hey, this is what a positive end result looks like. And they were able to go format, that equation, so to speak, create that magical formula where we plug in the data from Amazon and it spits out an overall grade now so that we can see, hey, this is an A opportunity, B, C, D, E, and F. And so for us, we did that for a year and then we transitioned it to our new team member that has been working on it for the last 9 months. And I've been much more hands off on that for the last 9 months. And so that's then allowed me to put my energy into another aspect of the business. And that this year has been more on the operations side of the business. So implementing EOS, right, as our operating system for the business. And again, once we got that in place, along with a project manager, now we can really see like a flywheel going. So again, instead of myself being the bottleneck of having to move products along, we have our new product development manager who sends ideas to our project manager, who then starts coordinating everything with the team. And then we're able to spit things out. So that's kind of been a little history lesson, I guess, of what we've been working on for our processes.
Nice. And it sounds like you've been working on the processes for kind of picking the right opportunities, but also what you've had to do, especially with this many products, is creating processes for managing the existing listings. So what about that? I mean, I think that's a key part too, right?
Yeah. That's actually something I'm really excited that to be working on right now. That's the next focus of our business right now, is systematizing product management, right? We've gotten to this point in our business by just launching new product after new product after new product. But what's happened is we've got these 1,300 products and, it's been 5 years since anybody's actually looked under the hood of some of those products on Amazon or really paid any attention to them. And so I'm happy over the next 6 months, my whole focus, I've already hired 5 different team members that will be starting here actually next week. Funny, we're talking about this now, but they start next week and we're going through and I've created a whole training program to get them up to speed in keyword optimization, PPC management. And then I've already been generating kind of like a optimization checklist that we're going to be following. And the whole optimization checklist is going to be meant to really focus on driving maximum profits for every single one of our SKUs, right? Identifying where's the right price point, right? What's the price elasticity for each of our products? So, we might be charging $20 for the product, right? And fewer sales are coming in, but it's better than, a lot of sales at $9.99, right? We will be generating more profit. It's things like that I'm really wanting to dive into the intimate details of our business. And that's going to take us, we're already doing very well with just the new products. We could probably double our business if somebody actually paid attention to each of our products on a daily basis and maximize things that way. So it is something I'm looking forward to.
Got it. And so, you've essentially worked out the processes for launching new products. And you have worked quite a bit on the management. So what's beyond that? What do you think? Because I see that the way your brain works is you're constantly looking for the efficiencies and ways to systematize things. So what else is there that you think is the next level in business?
Systematizing for business. Yeah. I mean, product optimization is the next stage. As soon as we get these product optimization specialists, then the next stage after that is going to be driving external traffic, right? More of the marketing arm of our business. Again,
I knew you would have an answer to that. I knew you would have the thing after the next thing in your mind.
Rich, I'm already living 5 years in the future already.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the future and like about your goal to be able to take a few months of traveling and have your business be optimized. I think it's interesting. You're setting yourself up for that. You're planting all of these seeds in your business for that to happen. And your kids are all small. So it's like you've got those three seeds that
Yeah,
it's like by the time they're teenagers, right? Which is a good time to travel the world. Like you'll have the business in place so that you guys can go and hit the road and have some fun adventures. It's all part of some big plan, maybe. It seems.
maybe. Yeah, it is interesting, especially, my wife and I, we love raising our three children. And that to me is what life is all about.
Hmm.
And so for me, I'm grateful for all of the hard work that my wife and I have done in the past, all the late nights, and the focus on the processes that have genuinely freed us up to a point of now, I can go coach my son's hockey team, his baseball team, his basketball team, and we can do all of those things. Whereas 3 years ago, I wouldn't be able to say that, right?
Yeah. No, that's amazing. And just circling back around a little bit to product development. So, um, I mean, I think probably the most common advice that people get is like, well, for launching a new product is launch a minimally viable product. But I'm
Yeah.
just wondering, just like beyond that, like what are you think some of the keys that anyone should have in mind when they're launching their first product?
Yeah, definitely some of the advice that I would give to anybody that's launching a new product on Amazon is long gone are the days of Me Too products, right? And so you've got to be bringing something new to the table. And ideally, if you have an existing customer base or a specific audience that you're trying to target, that you go and you reach out to that target audience, possibly share what that product idea is, and serve it up to them. I'll give you a good example. We did this before my wife and I ever started the stationery brand. We were looking to do I was trying to sell on Amazon and I was looking for a product idea, and they were these waiter pads. Okay, so like when you go to a restaurant, the waiter has like the little pad of paper and stuff. They're jotting down your order and whatnot. Okay. So I saw that as an idea on Amazon, and we actually went to restaurants. So whenever my wife and I were at restaurants, I would ask the waiters and waitresses and say, hey, I'm thinking of creating a waiter pad. I have no experience in the industry, but I went to them and asked them every time, like, what would the ideal waiter pad look like for you? What do you use it for? How could it be different? And anyways, what I found that was super, super interesting is that almost every single one of them wanted some type of personalization feature on that, right? A lot of people would put tape or whatever on there. And so what we ended up doing for that product is that we put kind of like, I don't know, one of those like folders, I don't know, like the school folders where it has the clear plastic in front where you can slide things in and out.
Like a report folder?
Yeah, exactly. So on the outside, right, it has the clear plastic coating, but there's a slot for you to like slide paper in and out. So, anyways, that was the idea, and we had mentioned it to these servers. And they're like, "Oh, that's an amazing idea!" And so we ended up launching that on Amazon. I was way too new to the industry at that time, and so the manufacturer of that ended up creating their own version of that, and then ended up tanking the prices, and that was my lesson learned, my first entry into Amazon.
Oh,
But
interesting.
but that would have been a great idea to like come to
Hmm.
create some type of design pattern on a product like that. And
Right.
that's where I really see the market going. And if you really want to build a sustainable business, like my belief is like, go out and find some innovation. There's so many platforms. Go to Pinterest, go to Etsy, and go look at like what else is going on outside of Amazon for some product ideas and inspiration, even taking a look at Kickstarter, and then formulate in your mind, go talk to your customer audience, right? You'll get some good feedback. But that's my recommendation for anybody starting out wanting to launch a new product.
Got it. Cool. Well, there's a couple of things in there. Well, one is just interesting. Just you mentioned the IP and protection, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't mention before that you're a client, and we're seeking hundreds of items of IP for you, for the sake of avoiding that situation, and
Yeah.
also, for the sake of really creating some valuable assets, as you grow your company and maybe expand into new realms, maybe have an exit with someone comes along to buy your company. But so we've been doing some interesting things with that, and that's cool. And beyond that too, like, so, and beyond this, the question that I just asked with regards to first time seller. So now you've gone beyond your first product and you've launched another 1,299, roughly, which,
Yeah.
it's not exactly 1,300,
Yeah.
but that the point is,
Yep.
you've gone from first product and launched many others.
Yeah.
So the different question is, what would you do? What would you suggest to someone who has, let's say they have a dozen products that are successful and they're just thinking like, well, okay, what's next? So, like, where do they look to kind of see how they go beyond the, let's say, dozen products that they have successful toward launching others?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great question. I think first, identifying is if everything is falling within like a certain category, right? Let's say you're selling in the pet category, right? Again, if you're serving a specific audience, again, some of the easier things that to go to is go on to Amazon, right? And then you'll see people that purchase this also purchase X, Y, and Z, right? Amazon shows that data to you. So hopefully you find other products there that you're like, oh, people are buying pet collars, right? And so that should be a natural evolution to look for product ideas. Secondly, would be to reaching out to your audience, right, in your customer base. And definitely, even if you're selling on Amazon, I would still argue that you can create your own customer base. I know Amazon doesn't give you their email addresses, but there are plenty of TOS compliant ways to obtain contact information. And then also, looking at the market, looking at competitors, right? When we initially started our business, it was looking at competitors and saying, oh, these people sell the same type of products we do. What else do they do? And so I know now we're the person that has the target on our back, and most people follow us and copy what we do. And now we're the market leader, right? But in order to do that, it was get an idea from over here, get an idea from over there. And then also just looking at other sales channels and typing in different keywords. I know Amazon definitely is powerful. They have most of the e-commerce sales that happen in the US, but there are other things, there are other channels, such as Walmart and Etsy that have sometimes very different products. And you type in keywords there and you can get served up something completely different than what you're seeing on Amazon. And I've seen that time and time again. And typically those indicate some kind of blue ocean opportunities potentially for you.
Cool. And you mentioned like being the market leader and having copycats. So how has it been for you, like dealing with copycats, with all of the the large number of products that you have out there?
Yeah. Up until this point, so over the last year, we've had more of an emphasis at working with you and then a few other lawyers. We are now we actively protect our designs, whereas before, we kind of got, it's not always cheap, right, to go and protect your IP, and
Right.
having a team and having a lawyer that's working on your behalf. And so we have that luxury, so to speak, at this point in our business. But if I could go back, to the earlier days of our business, even years 2, 3, 4, I wish that I would have started earlier by protecting our stuff. I was probably more cautious because, yeah, we get copycats all the time, right? Especially from competitors overseas. They see our product and then they're like, hey, that design is doing well, so I'm going to go replicate it. And it's like, you can't do that. You can't do that. And so we had a couple products where we let those people copy us with never doing anything. Didn't say anything to Amazon, and to this day we haven't. But now the script has flipped. So I almost encourage people to come copy us, because as soon as they do, we come fully loaded with, oh, you want to mess with us here? Then we've got design patents, we've got copyrights. Where else do you want to try to touch us, right? And so,
Right.
and we're trying to tell people like, yeah, don't copy us. So
Yeah. So
wish we would have done it earlier.
got it. Yeah. It sounds like in the beginning you had kind of like the win some, you lose some thinking about it, where like, okay, well, so let's develop lots of products, and like some of them, and there's strength in numbers, right? Even if someone copies some of the products, but then as you develop lots of products, you kind of came to the realization of like, well, let's just protect lots of things and have lots of protection.
Well, I was also kind of uneducated at the time, right? And so it was helpful when you and I met and we started talking. I was like, oh, wait, I can protect this stuff, right?
Yep.
Instead of it just being like, well, it's a free game. And I think there's way too many people that think the way I kind of did, where it's like, oh, well, they stole my idea. Well, I guess that's okay. Yeah, we have rights, and to go seek out those rights. And I was also always kind of worried about like, oh, what would happen if someone wants to retaliate back to me? It's like, well, take him to court if that's what happens. But how often is that really going to happen? But anyways, yeah.
Got it. Awesome. And one last thing is I know that you're working on a podcast. And so what's got you motivated to do a podcast?
Yeah, so I'm working on a podcast right now to really help other 7-figure sellers cross that 8-figure mark. Okay. And that's because I wish I would have had something like this when I started to find success on Amazon. I found that there's probably a million courses out there now that teach you how to sell and make millions on Amazon, right? That start with like the basics and all of that stuff. That stuff only works to like kind of get you going. Then as your business grows, it's like you're facing extremely different challenges. And if you want to start scaling your business and you want to move to that 8-figure range, you're going to need to make changes in your business. And many of those, like how to sell on Amazon courses, they're not meant for that. And so the purpose of this podcast is help a 7-figure seller who's probably got there just probably on their own and maybe the assistance of a couple of VAs overseas, help teach them how to actually scale, implement processes into their business that would allow them to get to that 8-figure mark and turn it into a bigger business, right? We'll call it a real business, if you will, to where you could step out of the business and watch it grow without your presence inside it. And again, I think ultimately, whether or not you want to exit your business, I think it is the way to grow a business, and planning for that exit, even if that exit never happens, even if you hold on to that business for the rest of your life, you will be more grateful that you implemented those processes and built it so that it can grow and operate without you working in it day in and day out.
I love that. I think it's going to be awesome. And once you do have the podcast launched, we'll go back and link to it from this episode also, so that people can check that out. But if people want to learn more about you or get in touch with you, how do they go about doing so?
Yeah, definitely reach out to me on LinkedIn. That'd be the best way. You can find me on LinkedIn. It's just Josh Hadley. and we'll give Rich the link as well, so you can link directly to my LinkedIn profile.
If people want to see some of your the 1,300 products that you have on Amazon, what's a good way for them to find those?
Yeah, go to our Amazon storefront, amazon.com/Hadley Designs.
Awesome. Well, Josh, really great to have you on the show. I totally appreciate you taking the time out.
Yeah, thanks again, Rich. This was fun.
Thanks for listening to Innovations and Breakthroughs with your host, Rich Goldstein. Be sure to click subscribe, check us out on the web at innovationsandbreakthroughs.com, and we'll see you next time.